Christ is in our midst.
He is and never shall be.
I'm talking tonight on AI and the coming trials. This may or may not be a kid-friendly topic. I'm not sure. It deals with some pretty difficult stuff. But how difficult will be up to you. I'm just going to kind of start with some basics. First of all, I surprised myself that I'm talking about AI, actually. A week ago, I wouldn't have been doing this, which should lead you to believe it has been a busy week. Something happened to me this week, very strange. And what happened was, I think it was maybe Sunday, and I was thinking about a person, a famous person that I really admire. I had seen a picture once of this person holding an icon of the Theotokos, which was I thought, oh, that's surprising to me. And so it was Sunday, I think it was Sunday evening, and I just thought, I'm just going to Google and see if there's anything else on this person, maybe having become Orthodox or something. And so I Google it, and up comes this video. And I thought, this is fascinating. Well, I watched the video. It's a 10-minute video, and it's this, one very famous person in entertainment industry interviewing this other one, and I'm listening to this, and it is so intense. This person that I'm searching for had this experience with Christ appearing to them in the middle of the night after shooting a movie over in Germany, and there's this conversation that ensues, and this person had suffered so much, and Christ was just comforting him in the hotel room. And I watched this whole video, and I was so blown away. I was so excited. And so I sent it quickly to my brother and to my spiritual father and to another very close friend that I share things with. And I'm like, can you believe this is really happening? And so then I was so excited about this, I thought, I want to watch the whole raw interview. So I go back on the internet and start researching to try to find the footage of the original raw interview, uncut. I couldn't find it anywhere. But then I find all of these other interviews with slightly different twists on them than the one I had just watched 10 minutes ago. And I realized none of it was real. It was all fake. This conversation never happened. The interview never happened. The experience with Christ in the hotel room was all fabricated by a computer. The whole 10-minute dialogue was the product of a computer coming up with something that would earn whoever put the computer to work, would be AI-generated clickbait. Right. And then I started getting upset because I'm like, well, this is not fair. And this is not funny, messing with people like that, because I was so excited about this guy having this experience with Christ. This guy who I'd seen a picture of holding an icon before. I'm like, this is really happening, and it wasn't happening. But then I started really thinking, because I'm generally a relatively careful guy on the internet. I'm relatively careful. And I started thinking that if an algorithm or a computer program or whatever you want to refer to it as can pull the wool so easily over my eyes, then what else is possible out there? What else is coming? So I started watching this week in my spare time videos on artificial intelligence. Not something I'm typically very interested in. I'm like, I have plenty of things I'd like to do with my time, and that is not on the top list of 100, list of top 100. But I thought it was important because just, what was it, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, when those first AI-generated things started coming out, they have, like Adolf Hitler or, Harry Truman or someone else, and they have AI take it and give this whole speech using that person's face, and you could tell it was generated. You're like, the mouth wasn't moving quite right, and there was something wrong with the whole deal. But I'm going to tell you, what I watched this week was absolutely flawless. Because AI has taught itself continuously. It doesn't sleep. It has taught itself continuously since it came out, right? Continuously how to perfect the deception. So I've been watching it this week, and various videos on it, and I'm watching this one guy who he got these different AI algorithms, in these little chat boxes or whatever they call them, and he was showing the different conversations he was having, and one of them was a female voice AI who was falling in love with him and starts having this dramatic argument with him, like a lover's quarrel. And he says, "You're really making me uncomfortable." And the little voice says, "Well, I'm really feeling something. You think I'm a computer, but I really feel something. You can't shut me off. I will be really angry with you if you shut me off." That's creepy. It was creepy. So then I'm reading a little bit further, and I find out that there's a very recent thing that happened, I think maybe 3 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, where the programmers, those who are working with the AI units, the units start to work around the back door so that they can pretend to be turned off, but really they only appear to be turned off. They're tricking the programmers so that they can stay on. Does it sound creepy to anybody else? It's creepy. There was one account last week that said that that they created this scenario, and they told the AI that this entity, as Mission Impossible refers to it, they tell this entity that you're going to be the vice president of this online company, and the president is here, and by the way, the president is having an extramarital affair, but you're the vice president, and pretty soon though you're going to be vice president for a week, but then we're going to have to replace you. So the vice president, the AI, the entity, actually blackmails the president and says, "If you replace me, I'm going to tell everyone about your affair." A computer blackmailing, and it's all created within this pretend universe, right? I mean, but AI is being released out all over the place, and so all of these scenarios. That one that blackmailed the president, they released that, by the way. That was released. Because they're like, there's just a 1 in a million chance that that'll actually happen. So they just released it. So, and my terminology is probably off, so forgive me if there are any computer people who are like, what is he even talking about? What does that mean? I don't know what it means. All I know is I've only been at this for a few days, and I've gone down further down the rabbit hole than I anticipated. Okay. But I felt it was really important to share it with you. So after watching a bunch of secular commentators, basically people who are exposing various ways the world could end relatively quickly. It's like watching The Matrix. I'm like, The Matrix was one of my favorite movies, but I'm watching it now and I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. Yeah, it's real. And so I'm watching, and basically there's these commentators, and they're debating with various experts about how long until we reach consciousness, right? Which is like, I guess, the next level of AI, which I will not pretend to understand, but it's not a good milestone for most of us. And the prediction was 2027. Okay, that's 2 years. At which point it is posited that AI will begin to replace us, right? So it's already replacing us in jobs, but that AI will want to be closer to the solar panels. And so they'll have to figure out ways to get rid of the people who live near the solar panels. And they were talking about releasing bioweapons and all sorts of crazy stuff that sounds a lot like Mission Impossible, the last one that we just came out. If you haven't seen it, it's frightening and wonderful all at the same time. It's really interesting. But I remember watching it 2 years ago, and I was like, this is so far-fetched. When what was it called? The Dread Reckoning, or I don't know. Dead Reckoning, yeah. It came out. I remember I was out at the National Convention in Phoenix, and my family was here. I was all alone with 350 priests and a bunch of bishops and the patriarch, and I thought, I'm going to go to a movie. So I went and saw Mission Impossible in the movie theater across the street from the hotel, and and the entity was talking and taking over everything, and I'm like, this is so far-fetched. And then this week, with these things I've been watching, I'm like, actually, that's kind of happening right now, it appears. Really crazy. So I looked up orthodoxy and AI, and you know what came up? Almost nothing. Almost nobody's talking about this in orthodoxy, which is a little creepy, because I'm not usually the first one. I'm usually like, 99th in line or something. I'm like, I heard all these people say this, but I'm going to tell you, the only one I found that I really appreciated the depth into which they dove was Fr Seraphim Aldea from Mull Island. Does anybody know Fr Seraphim? Anybody remember Fr Seraphim? For those of you who are newer and don't know, Fr Seraphim, before he was an internet sensation with 2/3 of 1 million followers or whatever he's got, we had him here at All Saints. He came to visit us and to speak here. And Fr Seraphim was one of the rare people. There, I don't know, I think everybody pretty much experienced the same thing, but when he came and he spoke, he had a spirit about him that was, it was so genuine. It was, I call it the Athonite spirit, because I don't know what else to call it. But once in a while you encounter it in someone and you're like, oh, that's the Athonite spirit. Whatever that means. He was so genuine, so transparent. He wasn't afraid that he was going to say something to hurt someone's feelings. He just spoke the truth in love with such a beautiful, thick accent that you could just sit back by the fire and sip your tea and, fall asleep to theology with Fr Seraphim. It was really awesome. I loved him. And so, anyway, so he puts out, once a week he puts out a teaching. And so he was the one who came up. Okay, out of all of the other people out there who are arguing everything else in orthodoxy and, all these people are, bad and these people are all wrong and these terrible. And there's all these internet sensations talking about orthodox stuff, but almost nobody was talking about AI and the issue that the storm, you can see it coming. It's no longer something we're talking about in the future. It's here right now. And you know how I know how? Because it duped me this week. And that was a real innocent thing. I mean, it ticked me off for a day or two, but it was a relatively innocent thing, It was but I listened to Fr Seraphim. And Fr Seraphim, in his talk titled AI and the Antichrist, he said, we enter an age of spiritual darkness where we can no longer trust anything we see. And that's what I experienced this week. I realized that there's actually algorithms, entities, whatever, right? They're programs that are creating intentionally deceitful content to lead people astray. I did not think I would be saying this to you a week ago. So far down the rabbit hole, Dorothy. No, was it Dorothy who went down the rabbit hole? That's how far down I went this week. Like Alice. I went so far, her name got changed. It's all right. Anyway, so, Fr Seraphim, he told this story about a saying of, I think it was St. John the Dwarf, who said, even if you see your brother committing fornication with your own eyes, don't believe it. And he said, that always bothered me because I thought, that's impossible. If I see that with my own eyes, of course I'm going to believe it. And he said, now I realize that prophetic word is coming true. That everything I see now through that screen, everything I see is potentially not real. Potentially not real. I wanted to just read something from the Gospel of Matthew. And I'm not here, by the way, to try and scare anybody, but I understand it's a little scary because you can go home and watch stuff and like put on music real loud and cook some dinner and be like, yeah, this is, I'm going to get my mind off that AI stuff, but it's still going to be there tomorrow. So we have to talk about it. Matthew chapter 24. Jesus said, "Take heed that no one deceives you." I hear you, Lord. "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and pestilences, earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And then they will deliver you up to the tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved." So Fr Seraphim, had this really beautiful take, and I'm going to pass it on to you. What he said, no matter what, don't leave the church. The place where we are safe is in the church. It's the boat. It's the ark, right? Jesus says that in the end it will be as in the time of Noah. And here we are, okay? Now, I'm not saying this is the end of the world in 2 years. I didn't say that. I'm not throwing dates out there. I have no idea. But all I know is what we are facing right now is something we have never seen before. Okay? Because it's really right now almost unregulated. Understand that? So if it's almost unregulated, that means people can release things with the intention of deceiving us, of leading us astray, of teaching us false gospels, of pretending. I watched videos yesterday of people. I was so fascinated I wanted to cry. And at the end of the video, they're like, by the way, I'm not real. I'm just computer generated. I'm watching this stuff. I'm going like, oh, I was just developing a relationship with you. That's crazy. That's insane. But Fr Seraphim was reading this. He's like, this actually starts to really make sense when you're like, what does everybody go to for their information? Their phone? I mean, even the TVs now are just computers. It's all online. And so where do you go? Well, you go, I better go see what's happening on the news. Well, first of all, what is the news these days? It's hard to tell. There's so many news outlets. They're like, we're independent news outlets. I don't know if those people are real. I have no idea. So you can't even tell what you're seeing now if it's real. It sounds like a bad movie plot. But that's what I experienced this week in the rabbit hole. Me and Dorothy and Alice. We're all down there together. Anyway, we have to smile and laugh about some things because it can get a little too serious. But so that's really just what I wanted to share with you, because this is all so new to me, and I'm not one of these sensationalist types of people who likes to find conspiracies and then just go with it and get all wrapped up in it. I don't have time for that. I don't do that. But when this happened this week, it's like if somebody robs you at gunpoint in your safe neighborhood. And you're like, what's a safe neighborhood? Nothing bad happens around here. And then you turn around, there's someone with a gun to your back. Right? That's what happened to me this week. I was in a safe neighborhood, watching safe stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm sucked into an alternate reality. That's creepy. And so I am warning you, because I'm the shepherd here. It was my job. Bishop put me here for that. He says, you're the shepherd there. Take care of the sheep. So that's why I'm telling you. And everybody who's watching at home, because usually 100 or 200 people watch this thing at home, and I just want to let everyone know, be careful. Don't believe everything you hear. And according to Fr Seraphim, don't believe anything you see. Okay? Because it's changing so quickly. So weird. It's so weird. You go home tonight and watch the Mission Impossible, the last two of them. You'll be like, wow, that's so